A building, a few mechanics, and a steady stream of broken cars. To most people, owning an auto shop looks like an easy win. After all, $90 for a 20-minute oil change and filter seems like a high-speed path to a glass office and a comfortable pile of cash. The macro numbers support that image. The United States has roughly 160,000 auto repair establishments, and together they generate a combined annual revenue of about $115 billion. But look at this diagram. This massive 3D bar represents that $115 billion in revenue. By the time the average shop owner pays for rent, parts, and labor, that revenue shrinks down to this tiny sliver, somewhere between 10 and 20 cents of every dollar that walks through the door. With margins that thin, there is zero room for error. It explains why half of all small automotive repair businesses fail within their first 5 years. The demand for repairs is constant, but demand alone doesn't keep the lights on. Success depends on the specific, often overlooked skills required to run a high-overhead business. Before a single wrench is turned, real estate dictates the ceiling of the business. A shop on a high-visibility road generates 30% more walk-in business than an identical shop tucked away in an industrial park, simply because potential customers see it every day. In mid-market cities, leasing 3,000 square feet for a 10-bay workshop can easily cost $120,000 per year. That is a massive fixed cost that must be paid before a single car rolls onto the property. Then there are the physical requirements of the space. You need reinforced concrete to hold hydraulic lifts, heavy-draw electrical systems for industrial tools, and EPA-compliant waste oil containment systems to avoid fines that reach into the tens of thousands of dollars. This chart stacks the actual costs of a medium-sized startup. Once you add $15,000 hydraulic lifts and $25,000 diagnostic scanners, which must be replaced as car computers evolve, the total investment can reach $654,000. This level of initial debt puts the business in a permanent race. Every square foot of the shop has to generate revenue every hour of the day just to stay ahead of the depreciation and rent. A master technician might earn a base wage of $30 an hour, but for the owner, the math is far more expensive. On top of that $30 base, you have to add payroll taxes, workers' comp insurance, and the cost of the continuous training needed to service modern vehicles. The real cost to the shop is closer to $45 per productive hour. Efficiency is the only metric that matters here. If a technician is on the clock for 10 hours, the shop needs at least 9 hours of that time to be billed to a customer. But efficiency bleeds away quickly. Mechanics spend time waiting for parts deliveries, searching for tools, or filling out paperwork. When unbilled time reaches 30% of the day, the owner is still paying for the technician, the electricity, and the rent, but the billable revenue wipes out the profit entirely. In this business, the inventory is actually technician time. It is a highly perishable asset. Every minute a lift is empty or a mechanic is idle, the shop loses revenue that can never be recovered. Revenue comes from two places: labor and parts. Shops that survive calculate their labor rates based on their own specific overhead, rather than just guessing what the guy down the street is charging. They also avoid the tire trap. Because customers check tire prices online, margins on sales are often as low as 10%. Comparing that to the high-margin world of diagnostic work and engine repairs shows where the real money is made. This makes the $80 oil change the most important tool in the shop. As this flowchart shows, the oil change gets the car in the bay and allows for a multi-point inspection. That inspection builds a pipeline of future work. An $80 oil change today identifies the $1,200 suspension job the customer will need in 6 months. Managing that pipeline requires precise inventory. Storing too many parts kills cash flow, but lacking a common brake pad or filter freezes a lift for hours, creating a bottleneck that stops all revenue. Long-term survival depends on this balance. Using routine maintenance to create a predictable stream of high-margin repairs that cover the shop's massive fixed costs. A 2-bay shop run by a single owner can provide a good living, but the income is tied directly to the owner's physical labor. If the owner stops turning wrenches, the revenue stops with them. To scale beyond a simple salary, owners move into a multi-location model. Operating 3 or more shops allows for shared administrative staff and massive bulk discounts from part suppliers. When the revenue comes from a managed system rather than individual labor, the business moves from simple survival to significant long-term wealth. But that entire system faces a major disruption: electric vehicles. Traditional workshops rely heavily on internal combustion engines. EVs have no oil to change, no spark plugs to replace, and no timing belts to snap. The routine maintenance triggers that bring customers back to a shop every few months are being engineered out of the car. Servicing these vehicles requires an entirely new set of high-voltage certifications and insulated tools. A technician without specialized training risks a fatal electrical injury, making the barrier to entry even higher than it was for traditional cars. As the technology changes, the market will reward the most disciplined operations. The future belongs to the owners who track their efficiency daily and build the infrastructure to handle high-voltage systems before the transition becomes mandatory.